Yeah. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Highly Jewish Podcast in association with Joyce. I'm Tanya Tsikanowski, and this is Elizabeth Barcohana, who really doesn't need too much of an introduction. If you've been following politics at all in California, you know that we're starting to realize that California isn't as blue as we once thought it was. I'll let her sort of give you a little bit more of insight of who she is and what she does, but thank you for all you're doing in California, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm Elizabeth from California. My story is, I guess it's unique. I was always a conservative. I wasn't one of these people that, changed.
And you were born here.
I wasn't born here. I was born in Chicago. We moved here right before I started kindergarten. So I grew up here.
Yeah.
And I started speaking up online, right around the Black Square Instagram post time with the BLM riots. And I was doing it on my personal Instagram with just a few hundred followers of my friends. And my friends kept saying, because my friends would see other people posting the counter narrative, the liberal side of the story, and they would want to use the information that I was posting to kind of counter that.
Sure.
But I was private. So they couldn't really do that. They would screenshot it or whatever. So people kept asking me to make my account public. And it was it wasn't only BLM stuff and racism stuff that I was talking about. It was also COVID. So it was also lockdowns. And I was, really upset about the vaccine mandates and stuff like that. And what I was saying at the time was very controversial.
You and I probably would not have been on the same side back then. I was still drinking the leftist Kool-Aid.
Yeah, well, it takes time. For everybody, there's something. There will a mask. I call it the last mask to fall. And once that last mask falls, you cannot unsee it anymore.
Definitely.
Your eyes are opened and it's done. And for everybody, the issue is different. So for some people, it was that. For other people, it was October 7th. It's different. So I was posting, and people were asking to make my account public, and my husband wouldn't let me. And so we came to this compromise where I would have a public account, but it would be anonymous. And for a long time, that's what I was doing. And then,
why didn't he let you? Was just afraid for your safety?
Yes. Afraid for safety, afraid for retaliation against our kids in school.
Sure.
Or, a host of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, on my second day, my girlfriend bought me a bulletproof vest. So, we all have our ways of contributing to trying.
I will tell you, there is nothing like the violent reaction you get when you talk about Israel.
Yes.
Nothing. None of the controversial things that I've ever talked about.
You see the looks that I get for this.
Yeah. Well, I wear my necklaces too. You can't see them today, but yeah. I mean, they're just tattooed on your body. You can't take it out. So then we get to okay, I have rallied all these parents who have never been political before and don't even know where to start. And I'm directing all the energy and the anger into something productive. That's what I was really good at doing. And 2022 comes. Bless you.
Perfect. Right on cue.
2022 comes, and all the parents who were running for office, whatever side, nonpartisan races, partisan races, it didn't matter. All these people that we were supporting, thinking okay, everybody is going to have had enough of these 2 years of lockdowns and ridiculous mandates and things that don't make sense. They're going to vote against it. And then we got murdered. We didn't even make it through the primary. That's how bad it was. And so I was what the heck is going on? How could this happen? So around the same time, also, this was like nationally going on. It was like the red wave that never came at that was that election. And so a couple things happened. Number one, I realized that the Republican Party in California is actually much more powerful than I realized.
Okay.
You can't get through in California without the support of the party. And number two, I was a registered independent at the time. And that's why? Because that's how I registered when I was 18 years old. I, wasn't going to have my vote owned by anybody, like all those like teenager-y defiant things. Like, I'm not going to do it the way my dad does it. Like,
So you had conservative values,
yeah,
and conservative upbringing, but you just didn't want to have to like fall into like what bucket or another.
It's the reputation of the Republican Party in California is not good.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't necessarily identify myself as a Republican, and even to this day, I say I'm a conservative before I talk about being a Republican. So do you have to make a left here?
No, I'll just go down a different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Figure this is a nice view. So.
Yeah. It's beautiful. So I re-registered, and I felt good doing that because, okay, my vote didn't count. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to do something that's going to at least move the needle.
Yeah.
One vote. Okay. One person, one registration.
Hey, one person makes a difference, over time, as you can see.
Over time, yes.
Yeah.
So that was in 2022. Then I started getting involved in the party. I went to a meeting in 2023, and they recruited me to run for the LA County Republican Party, which I didn't know existed until I went to that meeting.
And I barely just recently learned it existed, so this is very and thanks to you, so all news to me.
Well, that's part of my job, is to just let people know that we exist. Like, we're at the ground level of like, nothingness, and so the first step is like, we exist. And not only do we exist, but since LA County is so big, we have over 1 million Republicans here. It's like 1.1 million Republicans in LA County, which is the most in any other county.
Wow.
And so what ends up happening is people, first of all, don't know that information. And so they feel very alone and isolated. And they look to other places in the state or the country to support Republicans rather than building the infrastructure, using those resources to build the infrastructure here.
Well, because they all still think that here is, blue is always going to be the case here. It's like the baseline. No one thinks that California is actually going to flip. So I think that maybe that's why the desire to really get out the vote or to try and affect change is like less motivating, because people just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really, the biggest case for it is that it's just too hard. A lot of people think that it's too hard.
It's a long-term play, which is what the Democrats did, because California used to be red. When I grew up here, we had a Republican mayor, we had a Republican governor multiple times, we had a Republican district attorney in Los Angeles County. So we just kept losing ground. And then, yes, it's not going to flip overnight. It's not.
Yeah.
And part of it is managing people's expectations about that, because if you tell them, oh, California is really red, and in 2026, we're going to flip it, and then you don't, it's even more demoralizing.
Absolutely.
But if you set a reasonable expectation, like, President Trump moved, I think it's like 12 counties or something like that. Don't quote me.
Yeesh.
Off the top of my head. He moved all these counties to the right. He's moved LA County, I don't know, the last time I looked at it, it was like 18 points in the past 10 years. That's enormous. That's an enormous change.
I I mean, there was in 2016, I was working for Hillary's campaign and was posting that I'm going to leave the country if Trump becomes president. So he certainly shifted a lot for a lot of people, early me included.
What was your moment?
October 7th was my moment. I wish I could say it was sooner. Because of course, once, like you said, the final mask comes off, then I'm just like horrified at what I didn't see. I mean, I will say that as an athlete, I played basketball back in the day, and they used to always say, like, the team didn't beat us, we lost. And when I was looking at the election in 2016, the Democrats handed it to the Republicans, and I felt we did that at the time, because the whole focus was just hating Trump. There was nothing about policy. There was nothing about like how to actually make the country better. It wasn't about actually addressing any of the problems. It was just like hating this man. And I was like, this is not, regardless of whether or not how you feel about him could be real or not real, that's not going to affect any positive change for the direction of our country. And I just knew that throughout the way that the campaign was handled, that they were never going to win. I was just like, okay, that's it. Like, it's done.
Wow, you knew.
So I knew that. I knew that. I remember I called my parents, and 3 weeks before the election, I'm like, we're losing. It's done. And I said that actually because as a campaign organizer, I moved to Iowa to do this.
Oh my gosh. So you were like really?
I wanted the first woman president, and I was bleeding blue since I was 18. I mean, come on, I'm a lesbian. I came out at 14. You were taught from that exact moment that no conservative or Republican will ever accept you. And to be fair, there were a lot of Republicans that were pushing against my getting married. So there were a lot of things that I took very personally. And at the time, I was very much blue. And I remember moving to Iowa, being a campaign organizer, and having to send out these cards. Like, we got these cards in the campaign office that gave a quote from Hillary, and we're supposed to have Hillary's quote, and it's supposed to be like a reminder to vote card. And I send my volunteers out to door knock and to give these cards out to people that they door knock to, so they can put it on their fridge and remember that, hey, we're going to vote for Hillary when it's time to turn out the vote. Okay. Very simple. Now, my mistake was that I didn't take the time to read the card. Okay, because I would assume, it's coming from DC. Someone must have already vetted this like 1,000 times, and certainly not just one pair of eyes, right? I get these cards, I put them in envelopes, I hand them out to my volunteers, and within about 20 minutes, I'm getting a phone call. And one of the volunteers is like, did you see what was written on the cards? And I'm like, no. And in my head, I'm like, it has to be a quote about, I don't know, a policy that she cares about, or even, I don't know, something about a personal anecdote, something that's like important. Instead, it's a recipe for Hillary's favorite cookies. And I literally was just like, okay, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to say that women belong in the kitchen? Because if that's what you're trying to say, then why is she running for office? If you're trying to say that, no, she's running for office, she just likes to bake cookies, you really think she has time to bake cookies? And then if she does have time to bake cookies, what are her policies? Like, it just felt like such a missed opportunity to actually have something land that had value. And at that moment, I was truly embarrassed. And all you have here is like people saying, love trumps hate. Great. So like marketing 101, do not put the person's name in the slogan that you're using if you're trying to get the people to not think about him. I mean, it was almost as if the Democratic Party at the time was like trying to get him to win. Like, I was like, are we actually trying to help the guy? And so I just felt very, at the time, I just felt like the Democratic Party was stupid. Okay. I did not think that it was evil. Okay. And now, after October 7th, now I think it's evil, and that's the problem. And I think that they use, social issues as, a veil over actual reality. I don't think they actually care. You can't have DEI initiatives that are not inclusive of Jews. That makes no sense when we have more hate crimes against us than any other religious group. It feels so disingenuous. And, for me, do I think that there is institutionalized racism in the police department historically? Sure, absolutely. Do I also think that training should be better? Sure, absolutely. But I don't think defunding the police or not respecting our police or not respecting our government is the way to do that. There are ways to fix things that, is in a respectful way and also in a way that is safe and makes sense. And I think that a lot of, the Democratic Party is just preaching anarchy at this point. And I don't think that's good for anybody. And I don't think they actually care about anybody. They just care about destroying America. I mean, I don't see Republicans burning the American flag. I don't love a lot of far-right people either, because they hate me just as much as the ones on the far left. But I don't see people hating their own country that they're a part of. If you hate us this much, don't be here. It's really, as an American, it's offensive, but also as a first-generation American. My parents came here as legal refugees. They came here with the help of the Federation after, the Soviet Union was making life for Jews hell. And so I'm grateful for being here and being free and having all of the blessings that this country affords me. And it's just a slap in the face to them and to me when people keep hating on the country that they're from. It's crazy.
It was interesting. You are probably one of the most valuable people to have crossed over. People like you are so interesting and valuable to me because we don't know how to do what you guys know how to do,
which is
the infrastructure of elections and campaigns and actually winning and knowing how to win. We don't have that. Certainly not in California. We have a consultant class who is satisfied with losing because they get paid either way. The incentive structure is stupid. And you have candidates, California is so big. Our districts are so large. Let me give you an example. So I started by saying, one of my goals is to flip districts, cities, small geographic areas, and to flip them. And to find what's flippable, I have to find the lowest hanging fruit. What are the closest things? Okay. So the closest assembly district in LA County is 36,000 registrations, the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. I would need to re-register or register 36,000 more Republicans to flip it. In order to flip the entire state of Pennsylvania, they needed 80,000. So the scale at which we have to work in California is so massive that it creates this necessary dependence on this consulting class to help us scale everything that we need to do. And then, the Democrats are so good at recruiting volunteers and putting them to work efficiently. We are not.
Well, because the Democrats have always been at least claiming to fight for social justice, and Republicans have always been branded as those that don't care. And I think that is what needs to be really rebranded in a way that because that's clearly not true. At the end of the day, it's Trump that made lives for Jews on campuses easier, not Biden. And it's actually I just saw this in if you're cold, yeah, please.
No, I'm not. Burning up from this conversation.
So I don't know if you watch Landman, but I've seen I watched the show and there are clips of it going on Instagram now, because in the episode before last, one of the characters met what is the correct term? I'm starting to even get confused, but a non-binary individual that was going to be her roommate. And this individual basically just really made her life hell, because when she walked into the room and they first met, they automatically assumed that she would hate them, and they didn't really have it. They didn't leave space for conversation, and it was very much my way or the highway. And you could see that the show was branded to make that, for at least created that episode to make it look like the non-binary person is crazy and, poor, little white girl, and she like ran away. And so you would think it's a conservative episode or it's a conservative show. They're making fun of this person. What I love about it is that the very next episode, and I knew this because Taylor Sheridan, he produces a lot of incredible shows that are with very much like right-leaning, or anyone that is a little bit more right-leaning would prefer them. But you can see that like he does a great job of showing the humanity on the right side that the left doesn't want to notice. And I say this because in the very next episode, someone was making fun of the non-binary person, and the girl that they had been mean to runs up and defends them and says, we're not going to be making fun of people here. And for me, at least my experience in growing up, yes, there were a lot of conservatives that, didn't treat me great. And then there were also ones that were like, no, we don't necessarily agree with your lifestyle, but we will always respect you. Or we don't necessarily agree with what you think about this or that, but you're a person and we're okay. Like there's actually nuance on and room for disagreement and room for a variety of opinions on the right side. On the left, there is none. It's like you're either going to be blue in every facet, and you have to have this belief across the board, or we don't want anything to do with you. And then so it doesn't actually become about helping people. It doesn't actually become about any of the issues. It turns into a cult, and that's what it definitely feels like. And it's upsetting. I remember, you'll know this, because what was the measure that we were just trying to vote on? We were trying to redistrict as well.
Prop 50?
Yes, and we were like, 2 million behind? 2 million more people voted for it than we did.
It
was very painful and I remember like, I was like standing in line and I was like, I know my vote matters. And then I was like, 2 million. Maybe it didn't matter as much this time. But like, that's like, even now as I'm aiming to run for city council in West Hollywood, I'm doing so because I want to actually remove anti-Semitism from the council. That would be nice if we could just stop having like crazy pro-Pally people representing our cities. Okay. But if I'm going to be realistic, do I think that I actually have a shot of winning? I mean, look, if I think about West Hollywood, it's about 11% Russian. I'm Russian. A lot of my family from the first relocated out of the USSR was to the West Hollywood. And obviously I'm gay. West Hollywood is about 43% gay. So you have, those things that might help me. But if we're going to look at just the way that I feel like people vote, it's not even based on logic or reason. And it's just, if you are a Republican, I don't care anymore. I have no reason to like listen to you. Now, I think that I have a opportunity to make people realize that people that look like me still think like me also. It's not that like we're not all the one way. And I think that helps for people to see. But I do think that, if Republicans can frame, why not defunding the police would be something that's actually beneficial for us versus just saying we're not going to ever do that. There has to be some way to have a message that people understand that if the way, like, states that are run by Republicans are better states. They're better for our pockets. They're better for our roads. They're better for our safety. If they can see that people in those states feel safer and better overall, then maybe they'll actually start to understand that the Republican Party isn't evil. I mean, if you think about different parts throughout history of like when Republicans were in office during like really pivotal moments, I mean, when you think about what's going on with Iran, Jimmy Carter ruined everything for us, and he's what? A Democrat, right? And who turned back the boat of Jews that came to seek refuge? A Democrat. So it's like, when you think about like so many like things that were done against social justice were perpetrated by Democrats. So I think that we need to focus on that, and that might be what works, So I don't know. I hope so, because the left looks insane, like absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
But this is what I was going to say. When you said that Hillary Clinton's campaign was all about hating Trump, that is still there. That is still the case.
I've never like the obsession, like the fact that we actually have like a Trump derangement syndrome, and it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends that tell me, oh, I've been wanting to go to lunch with my lifelong friends, but all they do is talk about Trump, so I don't want to go to lunch. And I'm like, you're telling me the people that hate him, that think that he's like the worst thing ever, like he lives in their minds 24/7. Honestly, like I hope to one day be Trump. That's amazing. You were literally that powerful that you were like existing in everybody's brain. I mean, I like the guy, but I'm not spending my time thinking and dreaming about him all day long.
I dream about him.
Oh, okay. That's your poor husband. But like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if I get together with a group of conservatives, we don't have to spend our entire day talking about, any of that. No. But like, I feel like hating Trump is a part of the left's identity, and I know this because it was a part of mine. Like I had that same perspective. There was a time where, I would think, oh, like if you're going to plan to vote for Trump again, like I don't want to know you. Like it's embarrassing that I used to think that way. Like truly, like I worry for myself that that's how I allowed myself to be. And, so I'm grateful that I kind of finally woke up, but there's a lot of people that never will and are just doubling down as time goes. And
what was it like for you when you kind of like came out as a Trump supporter?
Oh, you didn't know this story?
No,
it was horrible.
Did it, crash your world down?
It definitely crashed my world. Okay, so but to be honest with you, October 7th crashed my world. And I say this like, look, my Instagram profile has been highly Jewish since 2015. Like that's been there.
Oh.
My, having this tattooed was actually also around 2017 or 18 or so. So this was also a long time ago. So I've always been very proud to be Jewish. I knew that most of my family was killed in Babi Yar. I knew that if it wasn't for Israel and America, working together and thanks to the Federation, like my family would have never been here. I had gone on birthright. I did grad school in Israel. So for me, being a Zionist and they were all there. Like it was all just like one and the same thing. And my dad, who has always been a Republican and, a Zionist, would always tell me.
Your dad was a Republican?
My whole life.
Oh, okay, wow, okay. Okay.
And he was just like, everyone hates Jews. They always have. And I'm just like, oh, Dad, like, leave the old country behind. Like, you're here now. It's over. The Holocaust is over. Like, I genuinely believe that as Jews, we were safe. And there were certain instances, of course, like in 2021 and different times throughout all the wars that Israel's had that I was reminded, no, like, we're not safe in Israel. But I didn't see it translate as much here. Mm-hmm. And, because I went to Stephen S. Weiss, then I went to Brentwood, I've had a very diverse life. I traveled a lot, I lived a lot, and I never really got as much hate, honestly, for being a Jew.
Yeah.
But then October 7th happened, and at this point, I was a captain of a rec league out in West Hollywood.
Okay.
So it was a queer league. It was a women's league, but there were people that identified as women, and most of these people were, most of these people were about younger, like about 25. I'm 39 now. At the time, I was like 36 when I started playing with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like on the older spectrum, and so I was trying to maybe give their ignorance like a break because I thought it was because of their age, right? Because as soon as October 7th happened, they had watermelons up all over their Instagrams. And these are people that have eaten at my house. These are people that I've spent time with. And like when you're in a rec league, you're not just playing the sport, you're going to, lunch afterwards. It's a social thing, and at the time being captain, I only say that because you had to be selected by people to become captain. So obviously people liked me enough and knew me enough as a Jew and as a Zionist and as all of that at the time when I was made captain. But now October 7th happens and people don't want to give me a hug in the gym. And people don't want to say hi anymore. And people are all of a sudden very different. Oh. And this was just over Israel and the Israel issue. It had nothing to do yet with politics. At the time, I was still very, very liberal. And so after like months of seeing what the Democrats are doing, and how Biden is handling what's happening on campus, I was like, yo, like, what is this? Like, what is going on? And that's when I started to like really like pay attention to things, right? And so at this point, I was like, as a Jew, I cannot in good conscience and in good faith ever support Democrats again after this. And so I think, I don't know, maybe like 4 months before the election, posted that I re-registered as a Republican and then I'm voting for Trump. And then all hell broke.
Hi, my name is Dylan. What's your name?
It's Tanya.
Hey, Tanya. What can I hear you today?
Tall soy latte, please.
A tall soy latte. You want hot or
Iced.
hot, please? And then
Soy.
and then I'll order an annoying order. But can I get an iced doppio and an iced doppio with blonde espresso in a grande cup with brown sugar cold foam? Listen, my girlfriend, she, this is so embarrassing. I know, I need to stop this. Like, just, like, literally the simplest order, just the soy latte, and I'm sitting here, like, having surgery. It's the best order.
It's not that bad.
Okay, good, thank you.
Nope.
So LA.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Courtney, who just gets like the most crazy, it's like this thing that you guys.
Doesn't even naming her.
Talking a big game because we're on Starbucks property. If we're not on Starbucks property, it would be different.
Well, I'd love to hear what that crazy order is.
What else are you doing?
I think that's it. We're good, right? Are you home?
Yeah, no.
Okay, we're good. Thank you so much. So funny. Oh my God! So when I told people to vote for Trump and online,
I think I remember that video, by the way. I didn't know that was like new information.
Oh my God! Everyone. So they basically tried to get me out of the league.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's not going to work, guys, because then I'll just call the ACLU, use your people against you, because you can't do that. And they were like, well, no, we're not actually doing that. You just can't be invited to the social events. So I was uninvited from birthday parties, and I couldn't do, like, I subsequently just...
You were the only Jew on the team?
There was like one other Jew at one of the seasons, and she hadn't been there anymore at the time when this happened. So I think I was the only one. And there were a couple of Republicans, but they were closet Republicans, and they were the only straight people on the team. So that didn't help matters either. So I was the only lesbian that, you know, said, well, I'm a Republican and I'm voting for Trump and you should too. And it was done. Like, and it wasn't just with them. Like, these people I was friends with for what, maybe 3 years because we played basketball. But I'm talking about friends that I've had since I was 5, since I was 12. I mean, best friends that have like vacationed with me or I vacationed with them, friends that have know my mom, you know, and it's like it was like I no longer mattered. Like because I voted for Trump. And the worst part is too is that when I explained it, I was explaining, like, look at what's happening. Look at how my people are being treated. Look at the Democratic Party and how it's operating. Can we just, like, look at the facts here and think, like, if I vote for Trump, I'm not just voting for him. I'm voting for all the people that he's putting in place. And all of those people have an effect on the kids that are on campus. They have an effect on our foreign affairs. And I'm sorry, but like, if you don't understand history, like protecting our borders and making sure that we're safe as a country is kind of important. Like, I know that people don't really get that anymore, but it's kind of important. And that part I always knew. I just never really thought that was that important to care about. And, you know, now I just, when I started paying attention, I was like, this doesn't, like, you know, when you're like, all of those freedoms that I want to fight for here are going to be quickly taken away if Islam gets over here, and if all the drugs and that. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for putting up with my order. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's okay. I'm not even the one making it. Honestly, that looks like an easy drink to make. You would not believe what people come here. Earlier today, someone got a mango dragon fruit with 2 shots of espresso.
A mango, like the smoothie?
Like the refresher lemonade with 2 shots of espresso.
That sounds bad.
That's horrible. That's actually
awful. It's actually awful.
That's why they cut through the drive-through, because like
they don't want to go
it's
in.
private. Yeah.
That, you know what, that makes sense.
Order whatever. I don't know.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for coffee.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. So you had to go through it 3 times. What was harder, coming out as gay or coming out as a conservative? What was a harder time in your life?
You know, it's funny because I will say that I think the coming out as gay prepared me to come out as a conservative. I came out when I was 14. I was the only person in my high school at the time that did so, and I did it in front of the entire assembly, and I started the Gay Straight Alliance. So for me, it was very much like, I guess, trailblazing or trying to make a change has sort of been a fabric of who I am since a very young age. And for me, it was definitely very self-serving. Like I was gay. I wanted to date women. I wanted life to be normal for gay people. So I wanted to create that space for me. Like it wasn't there. So I wanted to create it. Thankfully, after I did, I think by the time I graduated, there were like 20 people that were out of my high school.
Today?
Thank you. No, I'm okay.
All right, thank you.
And, you know, to this day, it's still there. I used to be invited to go and speak. Ever since I started rooting for the red side, my invitations have dwindled a little, or I should say, like, the level of, I don't know, interest in having me involved with campus life had definitely shifted.
Okay.
But I would say, it's certainly easier now as an adult to not have to deal with the concern of being liked. That was taken care of already when I was 14.
Okay.
But I think a sense of betrayal. You know, at 14, I still hadn't had the time to have a lifelong friendship. I hadn't had the time to have all this history with people that then so quickly got tossed aside.
Yeah.
So the pain is just different. You know, at 14, I was coming out and learning to have the strength to be myself. And now I had to learn to mourn the depths of relationships that once mattered to me, and to really have to accept that most people really do just hate me because I'm a Jew. Or if they don't hate me as a Jew, then they're using me. And it sucks because there are so many non-Jews that are Zionists and are supportive and have been my ally, but so many of them are new people that I've gotten to know, and that's the blessing in all this, right? You know, and like, I don't think you and I would have ever had a conversation had October 7th not happened. So I think that there's a lot of beauty that comes from, you know, and as Jews, we always find, you know, the beauty in everything, but it certainly coming out as a conservative now has been socially just certainly life altering, but certainly better, because I'd rather have people in my life, you know, that would be there. Like I still talk to my friends that voted for Kamala. I think they're nuts, but we're friends.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna say like,
you wouldn't like consider cutting them out of your life because of
exactly
that doesn't really enter
like at all.
Mind.
Like literally not one time. Like I have so many friends, and in my head that, you know, they're Democrats still, and in my head every time I'm like, I wonder if they still want to talk to me. Never do I stop to think, do I still want to talk to them? No, like whatever. Like you think how you think.
But
fine.
you used to think like that.
I used to think I was always a little bit more I think willing to have conversation. But I certainly came with it with this like pompous attitude that like, you are a shitty person because you're a Republican. So, you know, I always thought that I was almost better than the other person. And that part is what sucks, because I think that when we start to think that, you know, we're better than each other, then there's no point to have a conversation. Why would I want to waste my time talking to someone that I automatically think is worse than me? So I feel like there's got to be some, like, that's why I really respect Bill Maher, because he, you know, and Fetterman and like people like that still say they're Democrats, but or at least are willing to look at their own party and be like, yo, what are we doing? You know, like, thank God for that, because like there has to be an ability, because then I want to be able to do the same thing with us. We don't always do the right thing on our side either. And so and that's okay. Like, why can't, like, we're human. None of us are perfect. Like, why can't we say, like, oh, you know what? Wasn't the best policy, probably didn't work out the way we envisioned it. Maybe we should change it. That doesn't all of a sudden, like, change who we are. I feel like if we're willing to just make mistakes and regroup, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, people need to have group projects more or something. I don't know. Like, we just need to be able to have conversations. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you stripped away the policies, a lot of people, I would hope, would want stronger borders. I mean, do you, like, this is what's crazy to me. When I studied abroad in Italy, I had to go to the Italian consulate and apply for a visa.
Okay.
And I was told very clearly that like when the 3-month mark is done, like I need to come back to the US. I can't just stay in Italy. And if I was going to stay in Italy, I would be arrested. Okay. I didn't like all of a sudden, oh, well, that's like wrong, or like, wow, they're really horrible people in Italy, and they must be racist. Yes, there must be racist for that. Like, why can't we just why aren't we figuring out a way to, like, Obama, how many people did he deport? He still has deported more people than Trump, and nobody wants to like talk about that. So I'm just I also am too trying to figure out the right messaging, because the second you say you're Republican, nobody wants to hear it. And I remember oftentimes people tell me, then why don't you just be an independent? Why don't you not do that? And I'm like, because that's such a cop-out. Like, just
it is a little bit of a cop-out.
I just wanted like,
you know, I think it depends on the race. It depends on where you're running, and it depends on the race. So like the Nathan Hochman model was former Republican who became independent, running in a nonpartisan race where you can kind of do that, like, and similar to city council races in very deep blue areas like Santa Monica or West Hollywood, like nobody would judge you for running as an independent. But I also have a lot of respect for like what you're doing and what Spencer Pratt is doing, where he's like, you guys are like, I was already a Republican and I'm not going to change it just to run this race. I'm going to be who I am. And the ideas that you're going to bring to the table are still going to be like representative of at least some spectra of within the party, whether it's more to the center or not.
Absolutely.
So I think all of that is good towards moving the needle. Whether the voters are ready for that, like they have to have had enough. And in West Hollywood, you know that CVS on Holloway, like where
where everything is boarded up, where I can't even shop there.
Zombie apocalypse. I don't know what, I like needed something, and I was like, oh, let me just run into the CVS, and I parked, and I was like, what is going on here? I was scared. And I don't even think it was like a night. I don't think it was night. Yeah. I had to call my husband, and I was like, just stay on the phone with me for a second. Like while I go into the store, everybody around me was homeless and mentally ill and smelled. And I was like, what am I doing? And you're literally half a mile from the border with Beverly Hills, you know? And they brought in all of these, they converted these motels, and then it ruined all the businesses all around them. Like West Hollywood is in a total death spiral.
Oh yeah, I mean, I one of the things that I want to do throughout my campaign is I want to interview actual business owners that are there.
Yeah.
And talk about like what they're experiencing. I want to amplify the voices of the actual residents and those that are, you know, putting their money behind places that are in West Hollywood. Like, I mean, all of my favorite restaurants are in West Hollywood. Like the first bar, the Abbey I ever went to, you know, with my fake ID when I was 17. Yeah. You know, like, the history is there. Like, for me,
I would go out in West Hollywood. I'm not gay. It was the best.
It was the best. It was so good. And now you have to worry about, like, literally, like, you cannot put your drink down in the Abbey because you will get drugged. And like, oh, it is like it is a known thing. You will get your phone stolen, and you will get roofied. And it's like, why
you'll get roofied to get robbed,
or just, I don't even know why they're roofing everyone, to be honest with you, because it is just a known thing that make sure that all of your belongings are hidden, and make sure that like your cup is covered and you don't put it down. And it's scary to walk out there at night sometimes now, and to know that like you're at a bar that you can't feel safe in. And the Abbey has had this history for a very long time. But you know, and now I'm walking out of the bars and I'm seeing hot dog stands over and over and over again, like as if like you're outside of a stadium. And I'm just like, what? Just everything about the city looks different. It feels different. It does not feel safer at all. And it's, so I feel like, look, there has to be a good amount of people that really care about safety, because, you know, like we said, West Hollywood is gay town, but it's only 43% gay. That's a huge number, but that means that it's not the majority.
Yeah.
And so that means that there's a lot of people that live there that are not there for the gay clubs or are not there for, those reasons, but they're there for any other, the schools, the businesses, there is a group of people to appeal to that isn't going to just cling on to the social justice thing. Because what's killing me is that gay rights are not up for debate here. We're all good. And that's the part that really killed me. I have always been an activist. Now, look, when I came out of my high school, I was the only one that did that. And I started the Gay Straight Alliance because we had no safety. So I tried to create it. Then every time I was being in the streets or protesting, it's because I wanted marriage equality. There was an actual thing to fight, right? And then what happened? We won. I'm allowed to get married everywhere in the country. Like, if I get beat up for being gay, we have we have hate discrimination laws now that would protect gay people. Like, you have so many protections now as a gay person. Like, to me, we've won, at least legally.
Yeah, well, that's why they attach you to the trans rights, because now at the front is the trans rights. And so they have to keep you guys
fighting for something all the time.
Right.
All the time. And what's annoying too is that now, like, I see LGBTQIA+, and I'm just like, why do we have like straight and then the whole alphabet? Like, what happens to just like, I am I'm a woman that likes women. There are men that like men. There are bisexuals, but why are we clumping gender and sexuality into the same thing? I know that historically, like, we did that when it was just 4 letters, but if we're going to get to a point now where we want to expand to, I don't even know what we're expanding to, then like, okay, but like, expand it on your own. Like, leave us alone. Like, I'm not a part of this.
Well, that's
like,
why. That's why.
There's a woman that I know that she is a man. She was born male. And this woman identifies as a disabled woman. So this male is identifying as a disabled woman.
Is not disabled.
Okay, so I'm trying. So like, look, I identify as Elon Musk. I would like his money. Like, come on. Like, and what's frustrating is that like there were definitely like people that I've met throughout my life that have identified as trans, and I could empathize with them, and I can respect what their experiences in life, and I'm not here to judge anybody. But when now it has become this entire movement where, like, me as a lesbian, people don't even believe that I'm a lesbian. They think that I'm like trying to be a man, and I'm like, why? Because I'm in a men's shirt.
Yeah,
so like, that's
away the masculinity of like,
there's like, the butch woman is gone now. It's like, I have to be a man, or I have to be they, and I'm just like, yo, like, I like being a female, I like being a woman. Like, I just happen to like women. Like, it's that simple. And I feel like my community's getting erased and completely changed, and that's the part that I think that's so confusing overall in this whole like liberal issue, is that you want to be so inclusive of everybody, yet
and they make you feel guilty for feeling how you feel.
Yeah,
like that it means that you're being mean to trans people by saying, by feeling how you feel, by feeling protective over your characteristics and identity and your sense of self, and that you feel protective over that means that you don't want to be inclusive, and that you don't respect other people. It's not true.
Or like, or even like in bathrooms, like for me, like when you see like actual grown men walking into bathrooms and like jerking off, like what happened with Tish Hyman when she showed I think she actually released a video a recent video, I think, that showed a man that was jerking off in the stall, and he was like, well, I identify as a woman. For me, the biggest assault on trans rights are the people that do that.
Yeah.
Because they're abusing it. They're not like, they're making people that feel trans actually, like, they're the ones that are erasing them. And I know a few conservative trans people that feel this way and that have spoken to me about it, and they're like, God, like, this movement is making us look nuts. And I'm like, as a gay person, this movement is making us look nuts. Like, it's completely what's going on the left, and in particular with like the Queerest for Palestine. Like, it's words like no longer have meaning, and I don't really know like what. Like, I'm getting confused by the word salad at this point. Like, I don't really know what they actually believe, like what their through lines are, what their morals are.
They don't know what they believe either. They're just repeating the thing.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. But I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, I think that over time, obviously, I'm curious to watch the mayor's race and how things go with Spencer. I think obviously the fires were catastrophic, so it's nice that that's being shaken up a little bit. But yeah, I hope that I have a shot to maybe bring some red over to the city council in West Hollywood. I mean,
even if it's like just brings sanity to it. Yeah. West Hollywood, Lindsay Horvath started there. So this is another thing that, part of my strategic thinking about the LAGO. We have 88 cities in the county of LA. And what the Democrats do is they use these positions, not just city council, but like water board, board of equalization, what is it called? Community college trustee. There's all these random, very low level, nonpartisan races that you get your ballot and you've never heard of these things before. So you just most people will either skip it or they'll just vote based on what the description is next to their name.
Yeah.
There's no party affiliation to guide you, which is where the voter guides come in. I, for example, people like me will make a voter guide and I will vet those candidates and I will pick one in my voter guide to recommend. But what the Democrats do is they use those positions to kind of get their people in and get their feet wet and get them experience and some name recognition and kind of get into the infrastructure of city governance. And then they recruit them up into the partisan positions from there, or into higher office from there. So Lindsay Horvath was on the city council of West Hollywood. She was horrible, presided over, the defunding of the sheriff's, right? The sheriff's resources.
Yeah, because now they have to share it with Los Angeles. They don't even have their own resources anymore. They have to, from what I know, they have to share the
That's
actual
not surprising.
officers.
So and then with the homeless shelters coming in and the zombie apocalypse on the street and the businesses shutting down, she started this death spiral, and then she just ran for supervisor and left everybody with this mess behind. And then the people that came into the open seats after that, there were a crowded field is also another problem. There were a lot of people running for, I don't know how many seats there were, up to, I think, maybe 3. So you have to also be strategic about when you're voting on those open,
because you have more than one vote.
Yeah.
That's what's so annoying.
Yeah.
So it's if someone votes for me and some other guy, that basically cancels us out then in so many ways.
It can cancel you out, or it can, give the advantage to somebody you don't necessarily want to give an advantage to. So I sometimes will not suggest that you use all of your votes. Sometimes if we're really trying to get, an underdog candidate in, it's best to just vote for them and then not add more to the tally of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Because it gives you, or the underdog, it gives that person a kind of an edge in the math of the outcome.
Absolutely.
And that applies in at-large district, in at-large city councils, which... LA is not like that, but West Hollywood
is, yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, in terms of the LA race, what do you think? You think Spencer actually has a shot?
I'm watching how he conducts his campaign to know if this is like serious or not. I've been impressed by what he's been able to accomplish so far, for sure. I don't discount him as like, a reality star, like, looking to get famous. Like, I think all of that is stupid.
Yeah, he's already famous. And he already was a reality star. And he was pretty smart. I think he went to USC, and then I think didn't he major in political science?
Yeah. But just what he's been able to accomplish, getting the attention of the Trump administration and like what he's, how he's been able to expose everything that's been surfaced in the lawsuit that he's involved with, and like actually get that information out to the public. That's not small.
Yeah.
But the challenge is the fire, first of all, affected a very small part of the city that is already considered, the Palisades fire I'm talking about, not the Altadena fire, but they're already considered like this, privileged, wealthy, whatever, even though that's not necessarily true about everyone who suffered a loss there. The challenge is applying what he's talking about to the larger incompetence and lack of leadership, and how our tax dollars are being, not only wasted, but like cycled through these NGOs and then end up, supporting the Democrat causes or, the Democrat Party, or and registering like Native Americans or something like that. Like, that's what some of the fire aid money was used for, like not actually used for the things that it was supposed to be, and that these people can't build their houses and stuff like that. Making the connection between the decisions and policies of the leaders in power and the pain that people are feeling on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a very talented politician to be able to do that.
Sure.
And so I hope he can.
For the mayor's race, but maybe it's supposed to be Spencer. I mean, that would be nice if that actually happens. Like, that would be, I think, a really good signal to LA in general that we want to change and we want things to be different.
Yeah.
I do think that what happened in Altadena is such a different side of the story than what the PR is around, the fires in the Palisades. So I think maybe focusing, that's like the one thing, like with Spencer, I hope that that when he does focus on the fires, he does with Altadena too.
Yeah, but Altadena is not city of LA, so those are not they would not be his voters.
Right, but I think that optically,
yeah,
it's important. It goes into the piece of what I was saying, that Republicans have to be able to come across as ones that care about things that are beyond just themselves.
Yeah.
If Spencer focuses his entire campaign on the fires in the Palisades because he lost a home in the Palisades, then it's going to be self-serving, right?
Yeah.
And so there has to be something. And in my opinion, when you do things, like, for me, of course, when I was being an activist for marriage equality, that was self-serving because I wanted to marry a woman. So of course I was doing it for my own best interest.
It's what fuels the passion for what you're doing.
But I feel like I do think that a lot of things are like one and the same. If you help yourself, you end up helping others. And I think that just happens to be true and unfortunately, I think that we need to hear that, like, we need to be talked through the steps like we're dumb. I think, like, Republicans need to assume that everyone's like a toddler, and like, you have to say that, like, oh, if I focus on helping, the way that we deal with like fire prevention in the Palisades or rebuilding the Palisades, this will also rebuild and will help all the other things in other places. But people don't look at it that way. They only see it for like the issue that you're fixing in that moment and in that one place. They don't see the ripple effects. They don't see
how it applies to their life.
Yeah. And so I think that the messaging needs to be that, like, maybe Spencer can say, and whatever I do here in the Palisades, I'm going to work with Altadena and help the mayor over there figure out a way to implement X, Y, and Z so that this can be changed. Like, there has to be something that ties into something beyond just him. I think that would be the strategy. At least that's what I hope.
Well, it also has to go beyond the fires.
Absolutely.
He's got to have a more well-rounded, agenda.
Well, that was the same thing that I was thinking, like, with Tish running for mayor. It's like, you can't just
be a
bathrooms. Like, there has to be a million things that you care about. And so, I don't think these single issues are going to take it there. And so I am afraid that we are going to get left with Bass again. But I also feel like, is that really possible? Like, is that really actually possible?
Yes.
That
It's likely, actually.
Are we are we seriously like having this conversation that we might elect Bass again after what happened?
Yes. Correct. It was the wind, Tanya. Wasn't her.
All of her warnings before she left on her trip.
It's fine.
The wind took all the water out of everything, too.
Yeah.
That's really scary, though. Like, it really...
Yeah.
That's the scariest part. That, I mean, we in California should just be like, you know what, or at least in LA, it doesn't matter who, it's just something other than her after that. But if that's not the case, like, that's horrifying. But I mean, for governor, what do you think? I know I've been following Steve Hilton a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might actually have a pretty good shot, especially now that Caruso's not going for governor.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that, Hilton and Bianco are both polling very well, which I think came as a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that one would
outshine the other.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one needs to drop out.
Wow.
So.
It is, it's tricky. It's strategically very tricky because in California, you know, for people who don't know, we have an open primary for governor, which means that we'll have an election in May. Election day is June, but the election actually happens in May because we have 30 days of early voting. And the top two vote getters by June 2nd will then advance to November. Not true, by the way, for your race, which is nonpartisan and will likely be decided by June 2nd. But for partisan races, they'll advance to November. And the issue is vote splitting. So if we have enough Republican voters in California at this point to get at least one Republican through the primary. The issue is if we split our votes between the two candidates, then we may not make it to second place. We may drop down to third or fourth place. And that would be a disaster.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Someone has to drop out. Right?
I mean, that's the idea. So the Republican Party is going to meet in April for our convention, and we're going to do endorsements. We're going to vote on it. And likely the candidate that comes out with the endorsement from that meeting
will be the one that stays.
Will be the one. But it's possible that neither of them get the endorsement, I think.
Well.
And it's possible that the one decides, like, no, I've come this far. I owe it to my supporters to keep going. And they don't drop out.
If you could do it, because we were talking about, like, strategy. So if this was up to you, how do you think it should go?
I think that whoever the party endorses gets it, and the other one has to drop out and endorse that person. And endorse him, whoever it is. I just don't know if that'll happen. But, I mean, I've told both of them that that's what I think. I've told them that months ago. So, it's not a secret how I feel.
How close are they right now in terms of
It depends on the polling. I mean, it depends. It's within a couple points of each other. There's still a lot of... So, the polling is good because they, in a lot of polling, they come out, like, at the top, or towards the top.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the result has, like, one ahead of the other. Because they switch off depending on who's doing the polling, right? So, like, sometimes it's their campaign paying for the poll. So then obviously they're going to come.
It's hard too. Like, all these numbers seem like they can easily be skewed, and like how much can you trust the polls?
Well, what I was going to say is there's still a big chunk of people who are undecided because the Democrat field is not set. There's still people declaring, and I think they have until March to do that. But they don't like Katie Porter. And the other guy is, well, like, who wants that guy? I don't know.
I mean, there's an independent guy, right? That's running.
Who? And independent's not going to make it.
I know.
It's not that, like, party politics in California is real.
Yeah,
you remember when Schellenberger ran for governor, and everybody was like, "Yeah, Schellenberger, independent. He's, but he's opposing Newsom, and he's speaks so well, and he knows all the issues, and he did, but he got like 2 or 4% of the vote or something like that. Like, you can't. That's another thing that reinforced for me. Like, no, the Republican Party is actually much stronger than I realized in California.
Definitely. I mean, hopefully, I guess we'll see who the party endorses. I mean, what would be the reasons? Like, whoever they think is going to have a better chance against the Dems. Yeah. So I guess
there's like it's a fight between grassroots and establishment. So Hilton is considered the establishment favorite, and Bianco is considered the grassroots favorite because he's more to the right on the social and religious stuff. But Hilton is a British guy with an accent. His family is nowhere to be seen in the campaign. Bianco has issues too because he's a sheriff. So he's like, even though public safety is one of our most important things, he's not a businessman. Like, he doesn't bring a well-rounded, toolkit to the table. So both of them have strengths and weaknesses. I don't even know who I prefer either. Like, I like them both. So, yeah. But we'll see. We have time. And I think what happens at the convention will be very determinative about what happens.
I want to go to the convention.
You should. They just, I'll send you the information.
Yeah, send me the info. I'd love to go. Thank you for being on this.
Absolutely. This was fun. It's just two ladies talking.
Well, okay, I'm sure there are plenty of people that are watching that maybe have not necessarily been involved in politics in California. And I've always agreed that the best way to affect change is on a local level. Obviously, if someone is interested in learning more about, like, the Republican Party in California in particular, is there like a specific place that you would turn them to, or what would you say would be the best thing?
Yeah, it depends on where you live, like what clubs and stuff are the most active or who has the best events and stuff like that. That's something to watch out for. Is like, if you start going to the events, you start meeting the players. And meetings, even though meetings are boring, events are better. And at 2026, there's a lot of opportunities for that because the candidates are doing, like, meet and greets and fundraisers and stuff like that. The other thing about actually bringing change to California, which is what I'm working on, is changing your voter registration, checking your voter registration, making sure that you're a registered Republican, and helping people around you do the same thing, because you have to change the data that goes into all of these races in order to make an impact on the outcome. It's like input equals output, right? So
absolutely.
Voter registration is one of the key data inputs for all of the strategy in the whole state. And the other thing is volunteering for a candidate or with the party, or, if you're under 40, the young Republicans do a lot of neighborhood walks to actually, like, knock on doors and harvest ballots. Republicans really need to step it up on the ballot harvesting and voting early, because by Memorial Day, you're going to know if you have the numbers to win or not. By June 2nd is too late. It's already decided. Like, waiting till Election Day is not the way to go anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you for all that.
Thanks for coffee today, Tolanda.